Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Disenchantment Episode 3. Just as a quick thing, yes, I am back now for good, pretty much, until my next break, whenever that happens to be. um, but yeah, the past few days, it's just I took a break off because I was having some sore throat issues, and I just needed to clear things up a bit, and I have been. I've been having noodles with stuff like turmeric, garlic, ginger. All of that stuff helps with sore throats, um, and it's definitely been helping. Um, I have a little bit of a cough right now, and it's only very occasional, so hopefully it won't like bother too much with the recordings and whatnot. Um, but it is there a little bit. The sore throat is like it's not fully gone, but excuse me, it's not fully gone, but it's almost gone. It's just like this little scratchiness in the back of my throat, really. But I'm definitely feeling better just in general, and I'm ready to get back into things. Um, wish I didn't have to. Wish I hadn't had to take Monday through Wednesday off, but oh well, nothing I could have really done about it. I mean, I could have probably powered through, but it might have been a mistake if I did, and it could have just made my throat worse to be doing as much talking and whatnot. Um, but yeah, everything is back today. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be pre-recording Inuyashiki for tomorrow, and the mega stream is going to be good for tomorrow. Um, so yeah, hopefully we'll be good. Um, and I bet you, some of you can't wait for the mega stream just for the Ghost Pepper challenge that I posted the video for. That's going to be fun. Just as a note, I have eaten a whole ghost pepper before. It's not my first time doing this. Um, I will have noodles, I'll have bread, I'll have milk on hand in case I need it, and I most likely will. um, so yeah, I'm just letting you all know ahead of time. Now, I don't know when during the mega stream I'm going to do that, so keep that in mind as well. We'll just kind of have to see. Um, because it's probably going to take quite a bit of time to cool down from that heat and all. um, but yeah. So in the last episode, we kind of resolved our first main plot point for this show, and that was the entire arranged marriage. So Bean was in this arranged marriage first with one prince from this potential allied kingdom, but then when he when he fell onto the throne and got his head impaled, but didn't actually die, he was just kind of there. His brother ended up being put in place of him to marry Bean once again for the sake of uniting the kingdoms. And I don't know if I talked about this a lot, but this was a real thing that has happened. In like medieval times and all, arranged marriages between kingdoms in order to ally themselves and basically strengthen their forces was a very real thing. It was a way to, like I said, strengthen their numbers and make it so that their enemies knew that if you attacked us, you would be attacking them as well, and they would come to our rescue. It was basically just a way to live by the old adage of strength in numbers. And a lot of times this was just done simply by arranged marriages, by forcing the princess of one of the kingdoms to marry the prince of another. Um, and I've stated on many of occasions, I do not agree with arranged marriages. I believe that a marriage should be between two people who love each other and who have decided together that they are ready to take that next step. an arranged marriage, well, yes, two people in an arranged marriage can definitely love each other. The idea of it, the very concept of it, is gross to me. It's forcing two people to live their lives together against their wishes and without them even really knowing each other. And again, it can work out, and there are probably many occasions where it has. But there's also, I could bet you, many, many more occasions where it just leads to misery. And I'm sure, considering how the medieval times had been, there are probably even occasions where the wife was beheaded and stuff because of her inability or lack of desire to obey her husband. Because back then, that was how things went. Back then, in those times, the husband, especially in a royal arranged marriage, was like the top of the hierarchy. The wife had to listen to him, and if she didn't, she would get beheaded. But at that point, in a lot of cases, the kingdoms were already united, so it didn't even matter. So the princess in this case would just automatically got the short end of the stick, and that's extremely sexist and unfair. But it's a real thing that happened. And I think that's kind of where this was going with this first story arc in Disenchantment. Bean wanted, well, one, just wanted to be free in general. But she didn't want to be stuck in something that was forced upon her. She didn't want to be stuck in something that was decided for her. She wanted to make her own decisions, make her own, find her own love, find her own just adventures in the world. She didn't want other people to decide on all of that for her, and that's perfectly reasonable. And she is a princess in medieval times. She is basically, while she's up there in terms of the hierarchy of compared to like the commoners, is still in the royal hierarchy. She's still below princes, kings, dukes, all of that. She's still a lesser being in their eyes. Now, her father does seem to have some level of care for her, although he is extremely greedy and self-centered and seems to want immortality. But he does seem to have some level of care for her. Like he's not like, I've seen worse fathers. Let's put it that way. I've seen worse fathers in animation. Heck, I would even say Goku from the Dragon Ball franchise is a much worse father. But he's still pretty bad, and he's trying to do things that benefit him when it's clearly going to go against her wishes and whatnot. But again, that's kind of how it was in those days. And yes, this is obviously more medieval fantasy than just like typical medieval times, but still, it seems to be going by that same kind of thing anyways. No, it's not completely to the point where women are just completely second-class citizens, because she's able to go, Bean is able to go to the bars and gamble with these other guys, and no one says anything. No one has a problem with it. She's able to go out and adventure and meet people and talk to people and everything, and no one seems to mind that she's a woman in that fact. But like when she's captured and all, she's not just led on a horse or anything. She's like tied to this wooden pole and carried through the street, causing her head to smack against the wooden signs. Because the prince and his men and everything saw her as kind of second class. And again, real life was a lot worse than what it's showing in here. It really was. Even past medieval times to a certain degree. Even in like the Renaissance era and whatnot. Heck, just until in all things considered, until more recently in history, women were just considered second-class citizens to men. And there are a lot of people, unfortunately, who still act that way, especially in Christian circles, certain Christian circles, such as the ones who say, like, women can't speak in the church, or women can't preach or whatnot, that women can't be pastors. I hate those kind of Christians, by the way. But I'm not going to get into the entire Christian argument here. I've talked about that plenty in the past. The point I'm trying to make with all of this is that this series is taking a lot of real life scenarios and ideas, and we're running with them. And it's cool to see that. It's cool to see them doing this kind of thing, like bringing in real life things, but doing it in their own special, Matt Groening style. I'm really enjoying it. I love the characters. I love being as a rebel princess. I love Elfo. He's kind of comic relief, but he's fun. I enjoy him. He kind of makes me think of Fry from Futurama. He's a bit of an idiot. He's a bit of a dork, but he's a lovable dork. As I've said before, Lucy is still probably my least favorite of the main characters. I feel he's a little too one note right now. I do believe and hope that he will become something more, but right now I think he's just a little too just one note. But I'm excited to get into episode 3. Now, if you are seeing this before, I want to say 4:30, maybe if you're seeing this around 4:30 to 5, maybe right around there, obviously that means I got it up before I left for the bar tonight, as I do on Thursdays. If you are seeing it later at night, that means I just wasn't able to get to it earlier, and I apologize for that. But it's still coming up, right? Because I do have to record in Yugashiki as well, and it's just like, it's 2 o'clock now. I should have time, but you never know. So yeah. Oh, there's the cough. Yeah. We'll see where this goes. Hopefully I'll be able to get it all recorded and uploaded before I leave. In the meantime, let's just get into this. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. That being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so this episode gave me a lot of what I wanted. More just general fun, more entertaining stuff. And it kind of started to move on to a new story arc. But it also gave us some depth for Lucy. See, prior to this, I saw Lucy as this kind of one-note character. The devil on your shoulder kind of guy. But this episode showed that he does have some level of care for Bean. He doesn't want to see her get hurt. He doesn't want to see her die. He just wants to basically convince her to do some really stupid things. Just completely screw around, do dangerous stuff, and just have a blast, basically being completely irresponsible. But he doesn't actually want to see her die, because he actually went out of his way to protect her against Big Joe. Big Joe, I did find out, by the way, is also voiced by Maurice LaMarche, just like the other dude. I think the other dude's name was Oddball or something like that. But they're both voiced by Maurice LaMarche. So yeah. This episode kind of brought in a new, well, didn't really bring in a new plot line, but started expanding upon stuff we had seen started in the first episode. Mainly with this, whoever is watching them. Whoever these mysterious people who are watching Bean and all of them are, and who are basically in control of Lucy, from what we can gather. Um, so that's definitely going somewhere. That's the big thing right at this moment. Um, we got this entire idea of the exorcising the demon part, but I mean that didn't really go anywhere because Big Joe died, fell into a volcano and everything. So I don't think that's going to be a big thing going forward, but I might be wrong. I don't know. They might still like maybe send another exorcist. Couldn't think of the word for a moment there. They might send another one. I don't know. We'll have to see. Um, I do really want to know more about Lizard Mom. I don't know her name for the life of me. The current queen, Bean's stepmother. I want to know more about her. I want to know why the king married her. I want to know, like, I just want more to her character. I really do think she could be a very fascinating and likable character if they built upon her. Because right now, like, what we gather from her, she does seem to have some level of care for her husband and for Bean. Um, she's she seems to be like hiding this like bit of a rough side to her as well. I almost feel like she could be a lot like Bean, but that she's trying to hide it. She's trying to be all pomp and queen like and everything. Um, we see that she at least does drugs, which apparently makes her just scream and run in circles, which is fun. It has a lot more of a fun effect on Bean and them. I love that scene with them like doing the band thing. That was hilarious, and adorable. But seriously though, Lizard Mom, I just feel like there could be a lot more to her character, and I really hope there is. I really hope they do more with her, because I don't know, I want to like her. For some strange reason, I just want to like her as a character. But we don't have enough right now to really give me that reason to. There was a lot of things in this episode that were from the trailer. Um, none of that ruined the episode, which is good. They were kind of just like these small little things here and there. um, that it's like make more sense once you have the context, but don't actually spoil anything about the plot or whatnot, which is good. I like that. So this episode, I don't really feel like started any new big arc to this yet, but I think the big thing it's going for at this point is going to be whatever's going on with that cult-like thing, I guess. I guess you could call it a cult for now. Again, the ones who are apparently controlling Lucy. And I believe they're the ones who sent Lucy on to Bean anyway, so. But yeah, I think that's going to be the big thing for this series going forward. And I think a lot of it is just Bean trying to find herself, trying to discover who she wants to be, what she wants to be, and just enjoy life along the way. I think that's kind of what this series' main thing is. It's just a character who's been trapped in this oppressive state for so long, just trying to live, trying to be herself, and I can really appreciate that. I can really get behind that idea. Because as I've said in the past, I really, really do believe in individuality. I believe that everyone should be able and allowed to express themselves and live their lives in a way that suits them. You shouldn't have to live in a way that pleases your parents or society. You should be able to be who you want to be. Do what you want to do. Live life the way that makes you happy. And if it makes you happy to live life in a more standard way, then go for it. Go for it. But make sure that it's what makes you happy. Don't base your happiness on what others want for you. That's all I'm trying to say here. Um, I think that this series does a really good job at kind of sending that message without actually explicitly stating it. Because Bean is easily the character you're supposed to sympathize with. Yes, she's a drunk. Yes, she's a bit of a druggie. She's just a hot mess, let's be honest. But she's the character you're supposed to sympathize with, the character you're supposed to love, the character you're supposed to just really care about what happens to her. Elfo having stuff happening to him is part of his charm. It's part of his character. He wants to experience life in all of its messed up glory, I guess you could say. So when stuff happens to him, that's the joke. That's what you're supposed to want to see. But of course, you don't want him to get like seriously hurt. And Lucy is one of those characters who you just want to see like mess things up. But with Bean is the character you really want to root for. It's definitely written that way. The performance by the voice actor is definitely telling you that she's the character you want to like really side with. And despite all of her issues, despite everything she does and everything she says and all, it's like you want to kind of side with that mindset that she has. The show is clearly trying to tell you as a viewer that you should be like unafraid to embrace who you truly want to be. You should be out there being yourself and being unashamed of it. That is what this show is trying to tell us with Bean's character. That we need to live life. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to do stupid things. But that's part of life. We shouldn't necessarily go out seeking it. But if it happens, if we end up doing it, we have to learn from it. And Bean, I think, while not necessarily learning from it as much as we need to, I think she works both as like, excuse me, both as this inspirational character in terms of, again, following your dreams and being who you are and embracing your individuality. But she also works as this bit of a cautionary tale. It's like, be better than her. Don't just let this all happen. It's like when this stuff does happen, work to improve yourself from it. And I think to a degree, she's like trying to improve herself. She notes when things are stupid and bad ideas. She acknowledges when something is wrong. And a lot of the time, Lucy convinces her one way or another. And a lot of the time, she just decides she just wants to have fun. And if I can't blame her for that. But yeah, just live your life the way you feel makes you the happiest, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. If the way you're living your life, I need a drink or something. But if the way you're living your life is putting someone else out, is hurting them, is just discriminatory or bigoted towards any group of people, then there's a problem. But if you just want to live your life like, oh, I don't want to be anything big like a doctor or a lawyer or anything. I just want to work at a game store. If that's your dream, work at a game store and have the best time of your life you can. If you want to be a teacher, be a teacher. If you want to work online from the comfort of your own home, do that. As long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you're not doing anything illegal or wrong, then fine. And again, I'm not saying that you like want to exactly follow Bean's example, because she is doing stuff that's wrong. She is breaking the law and stuff. But I think they're using that as just the more entertainment value of the show. The message is still there. the message about being yourself and being unafraid to live life in a way that makes you happy, that message is still there. It's just obviously don't do exactly what she's doing. um, but yeah, overall, I just really enjoy this series. Like, there are adult cartoons out there that I just could never get into for one reason or another. I despise Family Guy. I think it's actually it's dangerous with some of the stuff it tries to get across. Whenever it tries to do like a serious message, it botches it so much. It's extremely dangerous for its viewers to see. Um, the humor is so juvenile and disgusting. It's just ugh. And the characters, there's no likable characters. Let's be honest. Even Meg, who is probably one of the most sympathetic characters in the show and one of the least detestable, even she is not a likable character. Um, you have other adult shows like Rick and Morty, which suffers from a lot of the same problems. It puts the vulgar humor above anything else. Because that's what people think adult cartoons need to be. But when you have stuff like The Simpsons, Futurama, and now Disenchantment, all by the same guy, all by Matt Groening, it shows you that you can still have some of that like juvenile humor in there, but you can also have heart. You can also have messages. You can have likable characters and enjoyable stories. You can have meta jokes that aren't just forced and stupid. Like, this is how you do an adult cartoon right. And there's other examples too, like Last Man. Last Man had a crap ton of sex in it. And it was pretty graphic too. But at the same time, it balanced things out with a very, very good story that basically focused around family in a way. If you really read the subtext of Last Man, it's a story about family. It really is, and it's told through this world of the mafia, of supernatural monsters, of high stakes boxing tournaments. And it does this, it still tells a message, but it does it in a way that continues to entertain you. And that's what it needs to do. An adult cartoon, you can have, again, you can have the more adult, vulgar humor. You can have even some semblances of nudity. I mean, Futurama and Disenchantment have both had semblances of that. I mean, Princess Bean just took off her shirt in front of her father and everyone else there. Futurama, there's multiple instances where the characters get naked. But it's done in a, not a tasteful way, but a respectable way. It's done in a way that doesn't make it feel like it's trying to shock you, or it's trying to just do it for the sake of being risky and being vulgar and being just, you know, all of that. That's why these kind of shows, why these kinds of adult cartoons are so good. Because they take their audience seriously. And they don't just do shit for shock humor. And for the sake of putting in vulgarity, because people think that automatically is what makes an adult cartoon an adult cartoon. So I really, not only am I just enjoying Disenchantment on a entertainment level, I appreciate it because it's showing... Ugh. I really need to get a drink. But it's showing people what an adult cartoon should be. It's showing the viewers that with an adult cartoon, you don't need to just force in a shit ton of vulgarity for the sake of vulgarity. That you don't need to just make everyone unlikable and vile and disgusting because it's funny. Or you don't have to make your main characters completely detestable as some kind of deep message. Like, oh, you don't want to be like Rick Sanchez. And it's like, it's a cautionary tale. And it's like, shut the fuck up. That's just stupid. And it doesn't work. Like, yes, you can have a character that you're not supposed to want to exactly be like. But that doesn't mean you have to make them completely unlikable in every single way. This series has already done it better with Bean. You're not supposed to want to be exactly like Bean. You're not supposed to want to be a drunk who does drugs and gets into all of this trouble. No. But you do, again, as I said before, you do learn a message from her about being yourself and being unafraid to be yourself. About individuality and freedom. But you're not supposed to want to be her. You're not supposed to want to do the things she does, necessarily. You're supposed to learn from her. That is how you do a character like that, right? Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty, he's just detestable. It's not that you don't want to end up like him. It's that you don't want to watch him. Because even with, like, characters who are supposed to be like that, or even villain characters, you have to at least enjoy watching them. You have to at least find entertainment value. You have to like them, in a way. There has to be that level of likability. The best villains are always villains that you like to watch. Or read, or whatever else. Professor Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes. The Joker, or Harley Quinn from Batman. Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man. All of these villains and so many more. Kuvira from The Legend of Korra is a great example. Villains who, yes, their actions are detestable. Yes, they're definitely bad people. And you don't want to emulate them, but they're still entertaining. They're still fun to watch. You still like to watch them. Or, again, read or whatever else. Or in case of games, you fight them in terms of gameplay or whatnot. You know what I mean. A good villain will still have that likability factor in terms of entertainment value. And a lot of these shows, a lot of these adult cartoons, their characters are just completely unlikable. You don't want to watch them. You want the episodes to end because you just don't want to see them on screen anymore. The best parts of the episodes are when they're not on screen. Rick Sanchez, Peter Griffin, all of those kinds of characters are just like that. Now, there are definitely adult cartoons I have not seen, so I can't speak on, like BoJack Horseman. So I don't know if that one's good. And I know that apparently BoJack, the character, is supposed to be another example of a character you're not supposed to want to be like. I can't say if they do it better than Rick and Morty there or whatnot, but or even as good as Bean. But still, it's like just the point I'm trying to get across with all of this is that Disenchantment does a lot of these things that other shows and the fans of those shows claim that they do, but honestly fail at. Disenchantment does them right. It gives us characters we're not supposed to sympathize with. It gives us characters we're supposed to disagree with their actions with, but still makes them likable. That's how you do a character like that. A character you're not supposed to want to be like, but you still enjoy watching them. And in Bean's case, it's a character you just like. Seriously, I adore Bean. She's adorable, she's funny, she's just insanely likable. Just everything about her is fantastic to me. Um, but you get the point by now. I've been talking too long. I've been rambling on. I tend to do that. Um, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to Inuyashiki right now. I might have to do that later tonight. I mean, you'll be seeing it tomorrow either way. Um, that'll be uploaded while I'm doing the mega stream and all. Again, I don't know when you're seeing this, though. When you're seeing the Disenchantment redirect and reaction and all. It could be up by 4:30 to 5, somewhere in that range. Or it might just be up later in the night. And again, Eastern time. So 4:30 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. Or it could be up later in the night, like, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and midnight. I want to give that big of a room because I don't know exactly when I'll be back tonight. Oh, goodness. Oh, I got fuzzy there. But yeah, tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode of Disenchantment. Clearly, I had a lot to say regarding it. But tell me what you thought of the episode, and tell me what you think of how this compares to other adult cartoons. Just in the way it presents these kinds of themes and characters and ideas. And tell me, if you like Family Guy or Rick and Morty or whatever, that's fine. You're allowed to. I'm not going to say anything against that. I don't. I despise them. I think they're terrible shows. And I am entitled to that opinion, just like you're entitled to like them and think they're great shows. It's all opinion. Keep that in mind. Either way, thank you so much for tuning in, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles, shed tears along the way, you're still standing, live, love, laugh.